If you're a good guy and you treat people well, you're kind and you're respectful, if you're dating a woman and she says to you, you're different to other men, you're going to enjoy hearing that. It's going to make you happy because it sounds good, doesn't it? You know, you're different, you're special, you're unique, you stand out from other men, and she recognizes that. On the surface, it would seem as though this is a positive sign, but it's not. It is a red flag, and if a woman ever says to you, you're different to other men, you need to be extremely cautious. I'm going to explain why. But first, before I get into why this phrase is so dangerous, I want to explain why it's psychologically appealing to men to hear this, why they enjoy being told they're different to other men. In order to really understand this, you need to appreciate the cultural context with which we live, because we have this societal myth that men are bad, that masculinity is toxic, that we live in this horrible, abusive patriarchy. When you constantly hammer this message into the minds of young men, you create this whole generation of boys who are desperate to distinguish themselves and to separate themselves from the pack and to prove that they're different. You've got these young men saying, okay, so other men might be insensitive and selfish and sexist, but please note, I'm not like that. I'm kind, I'm caring, I'm generous, I'm in touch with my feminine side. When speaking to women, what they're trying to do is draw attention to the contrast between themselves and other men. The underlying motivation of this is biological. What you're seeing here is a mating strategy. This is how they're trying to get in good with women. These men have listened to women complain constantly about men, like, oh, he's so insensitive, he's so selfish, he only thinks about himself, men just disgust me, I can't stand them. And they think, okay, well, these women seem to really dislike those types of guys. And if I want to mate with women, if I want to attract a girl, if I want to get a girlfriend, I need to be the opposite of that. That's the mating strategy right there. They are trying to differentiate themselves from other men. It's like, look at me, I'm the opposite of what you said that you hate. Please reward me by sleeping with me. Unfortunately, what these guys don't realize is that a woman's words often do not match her actions, and many times women will sleep with a man that they claim to dislike. And the reasons for that are numerous and quite depressing sometimes, but that's a topic for another video. The point is that when a woman says to this guy, you're different to other men, it is psychologically appealing because it validates his mating strategy. It validates that choice that he's made. It's like music to his ears. It's exactly what he has been hoping to hear. A woman who notices that he is different and appreciates that. He wants to be recognized as special. He wants that validation. And it's going to be particularly psychologically appealing to him hearing this if in the past he's been burned by women. What I mean is, let's say this guy has been using the nice guy strategy for many years and he's just been patiently waiting for women to notice that he's different and unique and special and, he stands out from all the other men. Over the years, he has crushes. He liked this girl and then that girl and that girl, and all of these women claimed to want a guy just like him, a nice, sweet guy. But they all ended up sleeping with the cocky, arrogant jerk guy that she claimed that she didn't want. Now, despite seeing all this, the guy does not change his mating strategy. No, he just doubles down. He thinks, I need to be even nicer. This is somehow my fault. I haven't been a good guy enough to really prove to her that I'm different to all the other men. He still thinks that this nice guy angle will work. He still thinks that's the mating strategy that's going to be successful. And it all stems from his refusal to believe that a woman might be lying or she might lack the self-awareness to know what she's really attracted to. When she says, I don't like jerk, cocky, arrogant guys, I really like nice guys, he just takes her at face value and he is unwilling to really question that paradigm. Now, psychologically, this makes him very, very vulnerable because he is so desperate to be validated. He so badly wants to hear a woman actually say to him, I recognize that you're different, you're special, and I'm going to reward that. And so when he finally hears those magic words, you're different to most men, he's not thinking critically. He doesn't look for deeper meanings. He doesn't question it. He just goes with it because he's finally got his fantasy. He's not looking for problems. He's too busy celebrating. Finally, a girl recognizes this in me. Unfortunately for him, there is a problem. It's a big one, a big red flag. When you hear those words, "you're different to other men," come out of a woman's mouth, you should be extremely concerned. Most obviously because this is a very strong indicator that she does not have good judgment when it comes to men. When you're planning a potential romantic future with a woman, that's really important because the best clue as to how somebody's going to behave in the future is how they've behaved in the past. Let me just zoom out a little bit and explain what I mean. We have these cultural myths that basically say men are toxic at their core, but it's ridiculous. The truth is that there are bad men and there are good men, just like there are bad women and there are good women. Human beings are like that. We exist on a spectrum. There are low quality individuals and high quality individuals, and they exist in both genders. So when a woman says, "you're not like other men," she's not actually saying that other guys are irredeemably awful and you're the only exception. You have to look deeper than that. And when you do, you realize that what she's actually saying is that in her past, in her past choices, she was only spending time with low quality men. That's what she's admitting to. That's actually her confession, because she exists in a world where good guys are available to spend time with, but that's not where she has been putting her attention and energy. Now, it could mean that she lacks the ability to discern the difference between a low quality man and a high quality man, which is not good because a high quality woman should be able to display that kind of judgment. Or it could be much worse than that, and she's not actually a victim of her own ignorance. She knows these guys are horrible, low value jerk guys, but she has chosen to continue to keep their company anyway. There are a number of reasons why a woman might choose to continue to date jerk guys, guys who treat her badly. But the bottom line is that none of those reasons bode well for your future relationship with this woman. We might all have sympathy for a woman who has self-esteem issues and she doesn't believe that she deserves to be treated any better, and that's why she continues to date these kind of guys. But sympathy and love are very different things, and in dating you have to be selfish. The truth is that a woman with those deep kind of self-esteem issues, that she's made those bad choices, is not going to make for an easy relationship and is best avoided. So a woman tells you you're different to other men. What she's basically admitted to there is that she only spends time with really, really horrible guys, and that is a red flag. But believe it or not, if that's the reason why she says you're different to other men, because her experience has just been full of low value guys, that's actually the best case scenario. Far more concerning is if she says you're different to other men, not as some kind of revelation or discovery, but more as a threat. Yeah, like a warning. Something like, "I have been mistreated in relationships before, but now that we're dating, my problems, my pain are now your problems." It's like an invitation to codependence. It's like she's announcing, "I need you to be different to other guys that I've dated." Now, sometimes that will mean other men that I've dated in the past have been abusive and I just need you to not be that way. And that's okay, that's good. But other times it might mean men in my past have called me on my bullshit. They've called me on my entitlement and my selfishness. Those men, those ex-boyfriends of mine, were mean because they didn't let me abuse them. I'm looking for a guy who tolerates the very worst in me, who doesn't stand up for himself, who doesn't make me take responsibility for my actions. Those other guys are always catching me in my lies, or they had their own independent existence and their whole lives didn't revolve around me and my needs. But that's not you, no. You're different to other men, and you better remain different to other men. She might be smiling when she says it. She might be acting sweet and kind, and you think, oh, this is a beautiful feminine display, but underneath, it's a threat. Now, some people might say I'm being paranoid and that I'm reading too much into this. This is just a simple phrase. Don't get so caught up on it. What if she's a genuinely nice girl who's made some choices out of bad luck or ignorance, but she genuinely doesn't want to keep walking down that path? She is genuinely relieved to find a nice, sweet guy who seems different to other men that she's encountered. That is entirely possible. Of course it is. And you can verify if that's the case by asking the correct follow-up questions. She says, "You're different to other men." You ask, "Okay, how am I different to other men?" Or, "What has your experience of men been like so far?" Listen closely to her answers, like really closely. What you're looking for is evidence of personal responsibility. If she says things like, I've made some bad decisions in my past, or I've never been the best judge of character, but I'm working on improving that. That's good. That's positive. That you're fine. For a person to have made mistakes in their past is completely understandable. It's only a problem if those past mistakes are still operative in the present. If somebody has clearly learned from their mistakes, then to hold their past against them is moronic. You're really only hurting yourself at that stage. But be vigilant in those follow-up conversations. Look out for evidence of personal responsibility, because if she's saying things like, oh, well, all men are just horrible, and I was always the 100% innocent victim, and all the men were horrible, abusive perpetrators, and there was no exceptions to that, you need to be really, really concerned about that. In that instance, hearing those words, you're different to other men, is a huge red flag, and you need to run the other direction. So you see, on the surface, it might sound nice to have a woman single you out and recognize you're different, you're special, you're unique, you're unlike other men. It is really easy to get carried away, but you have to stop yourself. Really, when you actually examine it, hearing a woman say you're different to other men is not a good thing. It would be better if she said, years ago, I made the conscious choice to only date kind, reliable, sweet, intelligent, high-quality guys. And so it doesn't surprise me that I'm dating you now. That's completely consistent with my personality and with the pattern of my life. Given that I only date great guys, it's entirely predictable that I'd be dating you because you're another really great guy. Now, that might not sound as romantic, that doesn't make you feel as special, but do you see, it's actually a lot more reliable. When is the right time to settle down? Should you speak about this stuff with female friends, or is that social suicide? And is the dating market flooded with low-quality women? All of these topics and many more are covered in exclusive videos available on my Patreon page. This includes my latest video, which is a guide for introverts in relationships, specifically in developing their leadership capacity. In this video, I talk about the dichotomy between introverts and extroverts and what kind of a woman you should try and date if you're more introverted. I talk about the area in dating where introverts have an inherent disadvantage. And lastly, I give some tips about how to develop your leadership skills inside a relationship if you're introverted, and to what degree that's a genuine disadvantage. If you're more an introverted kind of guy and you're worried that that's holding you back in relationships, I highly recommend you check out this video. For every video that I post on YouTube, I post an additional bonus video on my Patreon page. That means that at the moment, you're only seeing half of the total content that I create. If you would like access to the other half, then please go and sign up at my Patreon. It's just a $5 a month subscription, and you get instant access to a whole bunch of exclusive content. It's a wonderful way to support the channel, and I would love to see you over there.